Good evening. Good evening. How you guys doing out there? This is Mike Melton back with Soberhead Podcast, one day at a time. Special guest tonight. I knew this brother for years. Down when I moved down to the shore area, he used to be my barber, and one of my good friends. Man, party with this brother, did all types of fun and things of that nature. Man, welcome tonight, my brother Alvarez, aka Saquan. Thanks for coming on, say.
What's up, my brother? Shalom, man. How
Shalom,
you?
brother, indeed, because you know it's almost time for the Sabbath to come in. We got about
Yes, sir.
8 minutes before the Sabbath coming up here. You know what I'm saying,
hmm
man? How you doing tonight, though, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm blessed, man.
Indeed,
hmm
indeed, man. I definitely see that. You definitely blessed, brother. So, man, just share your experience, strength, and hope with us, brother. Start off with growing up in Long Branch and take it from there, brother.
Okay. Um, you know, um, Coming up as a little kid, you know, my situation was sort of different. You know what I mean? Because I didn't come up as a very young kid. I was born in Long Branch, but then I lived in a small town called Coast Neck with
Mm,
me, uh, my dad's brothers and sisters, the whole family, and my cousins, my grandmother, and my grandfather. And we were all young. This was like from like the age of, as far as I can remember, like the age of 4 to 5, maybe even 6. And, you know, growing up on a farm with all of my family, my grandparents had 12 kids. And then my uncle had an uncle that had 12 kids, and we all lived on a farm. And I had some other uh, cousins, I had other cousins, it was just a lot of us, man, a lot of uncles and aunts and everything. And we all grew up on a farm. And I didn't really know at a young age, I didn't really know about clothing or style, and none of that stuff, because we was on a farm, and it was just family, so everything was all good. But along the lines, I think my mom wanted to move because she didn't want to be around another person's whole family, and I guess she felt, that she wanted to get out on her own. So my mom and my dad, they moved to Long Branch, and when they moved to Long Branch, you know, I started going to school out there, and I realized, what I mean, I had to toughen up because, I was getting teased, kids was fighting in the school system, and it was just a whole nother ball game to me because I didn't come up, what I mean. I came up being around horses, little lakes, and playing with my cousins and all that kind of stuff. We fought, but it wasn't like trying to hurt each other, you know what I mean? So I was like learning a different way to live when I moved to Long Branch. And from there, growing up in Long Branch was good, in the beginning, I could say from the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, uh, everything was good. And then my dad got himself in a situation where I think he owed some guys some money. I think it was some Italian guys too. So I guess they were mafia or whatever, but I was too young to really know. But he ended up moving all the way to California to the other side of the map. My mom didn't want to follow him because the guys that he owed money was looking to kill him. And that's a whole nother story. He did end up getting killed in California. And I was like 14 then. But let me backtrack. Um, Around the age of 11, 12, and maybe 13, crack era had entered around my area, and things got rough out there, you know. So my family was one of the families that got caught up in doing drugs and smoking crack, and people trafficked in and out of the house. And my mom was dating a guy that was smoking crack, and eventually she started smoking crack and traffic in and out of the house. People were smoking crack. That was what everybody was doing in the neighborhood. A lot of people were smoking crack. Um, you know, I had two sisters, and it was me. And you know, I used to still have fun, go out and hang out with my friends. And eventually, you know, I started realizing that I didn't have what the other kids had. So, you know, I had started working, really wasn't doing no drugs at that time or alcohol at that time. Uh, I had started working at the boardwalk at this um, parking lot picking up paper. And I saved all my money up for the summer. And for working in the summer, I was like 11, 12, maybe 13 years old. I know I was on my way to I was on my I was on my way to the middle school, to sixth grade. At that young age, I brought all my own school clothes. I remember that because uh, my mom ain't had no money for school clothes because all of the money was going towards drugs. Um, so I remember getting fresh, and everybody, you know, started talking to me and everything like that. Whereas, you know, I had the stigma what people used to call me Dirty Al. And, you know, I remember, you know, having to wash my own clothes, my underwear, and everything in the sink. You know what I mean? And not having, you know, no soap powder or detergent. So I used to have to use hand soap, you know, to wash my clothes because they was dirty. You know, because my mom and the man that she was with, they was too concerned about getting high. Everybody in the house was getting high, and so you know, I started hanging with a few kids, and you know, back then, you know, they were so-called popular kids. Hip hop was really just, you know, starting to hit real hard, and everybody used to just hang out. And you know, I remember drinking. You know, it was a crew of us, and we just had somebody go into the liquor store, and we drink a 40 of Old English 800. You know what I mean? We used to call it Old Gold. And I remember drinking it with them and getting buzzed. I mean, me, I wasn't a big drinker, so drinking used to make me feel sick, and I never really liked it. But being that it altered my mind, it made me come out of my shell more. I kept doing it because I was every time I hung out with my friends, that's what they wanted to do. So when I got that buzz, I felt more a part of the circle, even though I knew my living condition and everything was different than theirs. I knew that I was growing up in bad conditions. You know what I mean? Sometimes no food in the house, everything. You know, my family, my mother's family, my mother had a good family. She came from a good family. My grandfather, uh, he was a pastor, and my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, and all my uncles and my aunts was successful in life. My mom was the only one who wasn't successful in life because I guess she had mental illness or whatever she was dealing with, lack of self-esteem or whatever. When after my father left, so it, I could see that as a young kid. I could see that the rest, like when we go to family cookouts and events and stuff like that. I could see that everybody else was doing good for themselves, and I used to wonder why my mom had to have us in a position like this. You know what I mean? And it
Mm.
used to hurt me, even though I love my mom to death. You know what I mean? She dead and everything, and you know what I mean. God bless her dead. Uh, I just used to always wonder that. You know what I mean? It used to bother me a lot. You know what I mean? Because I was
Mm.
like, yo, why can't my family be normal? Why can't my family be regular? And it's like in the town where I came up from in Long Branch, New Jersey, I I got a lot of slack. You know what I mean? I had the funniest name, and then on top of the funniest name, my family was doing bad, and I had to try to be the one to try to bring us out of it. So
Mm.
I started following others. I started becoming a follower because I wanted to be more like the in crowd. You know what I mean? Started following after people, and some of my friends had started smoking crack. So I'm like, man, I ain't smoking no crack. But one day, one of my friends was like, yo, man, I want to smoke some crack. At this time, we were smoking weed. I was like 14 years old. We were smoking weed and selling weed. And I remember saying, yo, man, nah, I'm gonna go smoke. I want to smoke some weed. And I was like, y'all bugging with that smoking crack stuff. So they was like, nah, man, try it. So I was like, man, I said, what did it do? I said, man, why people be tripping over this crack? And he was like, yo, man, just do it. So I said, give it here, let me try it. I tried it. And I was like, man, that junk ain't do nothing, man. I don't even feel it. And he was like, try it again. I was like, I don't feel it. I don't know why you like doing this. And he was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with you. Why you ain't feeling it? I didn't feel it. I ain't know what the heck was the big deal. So me and my other friend, we went and started smoking some weed. We let him do what he was doing. He was a little older than us, and so we was like, "Hey, you do you? We gonna smoke the weed." So we smoking some weed. And we got a little high. We left. I remember the next day, one of my friends had gave me some weed to sell, and we had we was standing out there and we sold some weed. And then we went to get his brother. For some reason, we used to always go hanging out with his brother. It was two brothers. The older brother was like, yo, he want to smoke some crack again. So we like, yo, man, we had money, but we didn't want to spend it on that. You know, when you're young, you share everything with your friends. You know what I mean? So he knew we had money, and he was a little older than us. So he was like, yo, let's take $20 and buy some crack. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, why do you keep every time we come around him, he want to smoke crack, man? He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, let's just give him some crack. Let's just give him some. So I'm like, all right, but we got him some crack. So then he told us to hit it again. And then this time, the second time, I felt it and it blew my mind.
Mm.
From there on, from the age of 14 years old to like 16, maybe 17 years old, I was smoking crack, running a mile a minute,
Mm.
running a mile a minute. Everybody used to be like, yo, this the youngest dude in Long Branch, man. This dude smoking crack, man. Look at this young boy, man. They was like,
Mm.
yo, he out here smoking crack, man. And I was little too, man. I used to be real skinny growing up. So they was like, yo, this dude. I looked at way younger than I was. So
Mm.
they probably thought I was 13 or 12. I was skinny and little. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even that tall. So they was like, they used to be like, yo, little man, what you doing, man? You smoking? you doing out here smoking crack, man? I'm like, man, I'm smoking crack, man. Just sell me some crack. So jokers used to sell me crack, certain people. Then other people wouldn't give it to me because they was my boys, my friends, and they had went from selling weed to selling crack. So when they
Mm.
found that I was selling crack, they was upset with me, and some of them started wanting to fight me and you know what I mean, stuff like that. And I was getting picked on, ran home. You know what I mean? Long Branch was getting real rough. It was rough out there, man. And I wasn't no real fighter, but I'll fight anybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was like if you brought it to me, I'm gonna fight you. Even if I lose, I'm still fight you. And that was the thing with me. Joe was like, I hear fight, so they stopped bothering me because they knew I'll fight.
Mm.
And at that time, you know, I was getting in all kind of trouble, man. Uh, in and out of the youth house detention center. At the age of 16, 14 of, I mean, at the age of 15 or 14 or 16, I went to Jamesburg.
Mm.
I went to Jamesburg for assault. Me and my cousin, we had assaulted uh, this this guy on a basketball court, and we broke him up pretty bad. And uh, his mom signed complaints on us, and then she came to court, and we ended up getting in trouble for that. He went to a program, and I went to juvenile prison because I was like 9 months older than him.
Mm.
He meant being that he was only like 14 and I was like 15. He went to a program, and I went to juvenile prison for 2 years. And at 2 years, I came home. When I was finished with the 2 years, I came home, and I was like, I ain't smoking no crack no more.
Mm.
But I started hanging around the same people again. And I found myself back smoking crack for a small period of time for like maybe like 6 months. Then I went to jail again. Now, I told you I was in Jamesburg for 2 years. So by this time, I'm like 17, 18. So I got locked up again, and they put me in the county. I went to the county. I was drinking with some friends, and we went to this house party. I got drunk. Somebody threw me down the steps for trying to talk to their girl, and I went and broke into a car and fell asleep in the car. I remember waking up in a cell. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? I was locked up. I didn't even know what I was locked up for at first. So they told me, well, you broke into a car and fell asleep in the car, and they charged me with burglary.
Mm.
I didn't even steal nothing. They charged me with burglary instead of just charging me with uh, 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 they should have charged me with a lower charge than that. But they was trumping up charges on black people back then for
Mm.
anything. So uh, they charged me with that. I stayed in the county for like a year, and they let me out of the county. And from there forth, I told myself I was never doing drugs again. I stopped doing drugs just on my own. I just stopped doing drugs. But my intent was never to leave drugs alone. At this time, I knew how to get money. I had found out how to get money from drugs from using drugs. And
Mm.
I thought that I could make a lot of money off of it. So I seen the flip side of it. So I stopped using drugs like from the age of like 19, 18, 19. Just stopped using drugs and just started going hard selling crack.
Mm.
And was on the block, kept getting in trouble, hanging out, drinking. I mean, hanging out with my boys, drinking more, uh, still having problems in the house with mom and her man. I ended up beating him up. Uh, Ended up getting thrown out of there, and I ended up moving in with a chick that was from my town. And I remember I was like, "Yo, I'm out on my own now." So all I did was come outside all day, stay outside all day, 2, 3 days in a row, just selling crack and drinking 40s and hanging out. My life was a blur. Before you know it, I was in and out of prison like 3 times, and before you know it, I was 25 years old, and I came home from prison, and I said, "Man, I ain't do nothing with myself, man, but get in trouble." 25 years old, in and out of prison, in and out of jail, in and out of the county. And I mean, this happened for like a long time, from juvenile all the way up to when I was like 25. So once I turned 25, I started working a little bit in this barbershop, got my driver's license, and got my driver's license, and I started driving. And, you know, the club scene started hitting in. So I started going, hanging out in clubs, and then coming home and, the wee hours of night, stuff like that. And would just sell drugs, hang out at the barbershop, and then go out at night and do the same thing over and over again. Just going up. Life was like one big party, just having fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, uh, to make a long story short, I ended up marrying this girl, uh, and introducing her to my lifestyle. You know what I mean? She was young. She had a son. I took her son as he was mine. And basically, I just gave her whatever she wanted, and I just went out and sold drugs every day.
Mm.
And that was my life. And then she got sick and tired of me cheating, not coming home, and just doing the same thing over and over again. I felt like because I started making money and I found out how to get to the paper, like I really found out how to get to the money. And I to tell you the truth, I knew how to get to the money and I was making it, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I just spent it on all kind of dumb stuff. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I ain't talking about a little bit of money. I'm talking about making like money, like anybody in my town will tell you. I started making some money, serious money, and I blew it. I would blow it, and then I started getting in trouble with the law again.
Mm.
And this is around the time that I had met you,
Mm-hmm.
and we started hanging out hard and partying hard. We was partying hard, and I remember sometimes us, man, we be partying and it just like start turning daylight out. You know what I mean? And we just be hanging out. You know what I mean? And the crazy, I knew you was I knew you was a school teacher, and I knew you was doing your thing on that end at that time. So I never would show you my other hand of what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Facts. I definitely ain't know none of that. I
Yeah, I
knew you
never.
dabbled a little bit, but I ain't know you was as deep as you was in.
Yeah. So I never would show you my hand on that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, cause I'm type of person. If a dude is somebody a friend of me, it's my job to protect them and be cool with them and not try to bring them down. You know what I mean? If
I
anything,
appreciate that, man.
yeah. Even back then, that was my whole thing. You know what I mean? Because all the dudes that you was cool with from around my way, they was cool with me. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they was all like doing like had good business minded people. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So they all knew I wouldn't bring nothing like that to them. You know what I mean? I'm stashing everything, and I'm gonna go hang out with them, party with them. But then at the end of the night, when they leave, then I'm going back to that stash. I'm gonna head into the block, and
Mm.
that's how I used to do it. And I used to party all the time. But the reason I used to like to hang out with guys that wasn't involved in the on the drug scene is because deep down inside, I never really wanted to do that. You know what I mean? Because I
Mm.
always knew what it did to my mother. I knew what it did to
Mm.
me, and I was like, this ain't a way for nobody to really be living. Especially, I had a son, even though he wasn't my biological son, he was mine because I was raising him, and I wanted him to live a better life. So I didn't want to show him that neither. So I
Mm.
tried to keep him away from it. You know what I mean? And I tried to keep his mom away from it really too. You know what I mean? But she knew what was going on because we was in the same house together. But at the same time, I I couldn't just strictly take myself away from it because the money was too good. And I
Mm.
knew that I would probably struggle if I didn't. At that time, I knew that I would struggle because I didn't have a bona fide hustle. I was a barber, but I was like in my beginning barber stages, didn't have a whole lot of customers.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like a lot of people was coming to me to cut their hair. I was just cutting hair just so I could learn. Basically, I was still in my learning stages, so I could learn, perfect the craft. And it took me years and years to perfect the craft. It was like, and even now I still work on my craft, but it takes a long time to become a good barber. I mean, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once I perfected the craft, you know, I learned how to make money without even selling drugs no more. And that's a blessing. But I ended up getting locked up again in 2007, and I got caught with a whole bunch of drugs. And people thought that I was, you know, snitching and telling because I kept making bail. I kept getting out on bail. Uh, I had paid this lawyer a whole bunch of money, and he kept getting me out of trouble. I mean, he was doing a real good job, you know what I mean, of getting me out of situations and stuff like that. And people thought I was telling, and I never told on nobody. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I never told on nobody, but I ended up getting a reputation in my town as somebody who was telling.
Mm.
So that could have played a part of me making the decision to not want to sell drugs again either. But that wasn't the real reason. The real underlying reason was even before I had my spiritual awakening and found God, I just didn't want to do it no more. It was just like something telling me, like, yo, this ain't the right thing. You're killing off your people. You know what I mean? And I always had uh, uh, it was always in my mind, like, yo, man, this is not something you should be doing.
So when was it that moment when it was enough was enough?
Um, enough was enough when I went to prison,
Mm.
and I sat in that police before I went to prison. When I was in that police car, and I knew that I got caught with all those drugs, you know, uh, I ain't trying to put my business all out there, but I got caught with 3 kilos of cocaine.
Mm.
And I was like, I ain't never coming home.
Mm.
They raided the house that I was living in. They was gonna take my daughter. I had to sign an affidavit stating that everything was mine.
Mm.
And this is before I even went to the county. This was that same day because they was definitely taking my daughter. So when I got in that police car, I knew they was going to the house to raid, get the money, and get the rest of the little bit of drugs I had left there. I just looked up and I said, God, if you get me out of this, I'll serve you.
Mm.
They didn't know, really uh, who God was. I knew that God was real because I had some things that happened in my life that led me to believe that God was real. Like when I first met my first wife, when we first hugged, we had a spiritual encounter, like a spirit like was on us, literally over us, like hugging us. And I know a lot of people don't believe in things like that, but it really happened. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I dismissed it because I was a 5%er, and I dismissed it at the time, like that. Even though I knew it happened, I just asked. I asked her. I said, "Do you remember when something like was on over us and was hugging us when we was hugging?" And she said, "Yeah, I felt it." And she said, "I was scared to ask you if you felt it." And I was like, "No, I'm telling you, I knew I wasn't bugging, but I dismissed it and didn't look further into the situation because my name was Father Saquan at the time, and I thought that I was God.
Mm.
You know, the Bible do say, I don't want to down or disrespect the 5% because they opened my mind to a lot of stuff. They made me more consciously aware of a lot of stuff, and uh, that was like one of my first really learning periods in life was through the 5% nation because I was illiterate. Growing up, even in the high school, everything, I was illiterate, couldn't read, couldn't write, and
Mm.
the 5%ers was people who told me like, "Yo, bro, you need to study and you need to learn how to read and write and you need to do this and you got to do this and get right." And I started getting right. I started changing. A lot of people that used to be around me started looking at me different with respect. So I always gotta say that it was enlightened, but it wasn't the truth. The truth is where I'm at now. You know what I mean?
Mm. So
And
what happened once you got out of jail?
when I came home, I was set ablaze, for God. I started going to church. I was telling people about the Lord, but I really didn't know where I belonged at because I didn't find the truth yet. I still was practicing Christianity under their false ways that teaching that God was just forgiving and that we didn't have to be under no laws, that it was faith by grace, and that grace was just abiding. And every time you committed a sin, you just had to say, "God, please forgive me for sinning," and that was it. But you could keep on committing the same sins over and over again, and you wasn't really changing my way. I
Mm-hmm.
really wasn't changing my ways. So I got caught up again with another chick. You know, this is a whole nother different relationship, and she was sniffing coke,
Mm.
and I used to dibble and dabble sniffing coke sometimes when I was hustling. What I mean? Because it would keep me up at night. It would keep me, what I mean, so I could hustle all night long and stay up for 3 days and come home with a whole bunch of money. And, what I mean, just because I did that, what I mean, just a little pinch of it would have me up and I could drink and I could hang out and do all kind of stuff like that. And uh, I never got addicted to it, never did. But I started messing with this girl and like uh, 2000 and uh, and I came home 2012, 13, so it's like 2015, 2015 or 2016, and she was sniffing coke, and so one day she told me she was like, "Yo, I sniff coke," and I was like, "Damn," and I was like, "Okay, now I see that's why she is the way she was. She used to drink with me, party with me, hang out." And I was wondering how she could party so hard and hang out. And while I be sleeping, she would want me to wake up and she would want to have sex all the time. And I was like, damn, I can't hang. You know what I mean? So one day I was like, yo, let me get some of that. You know what I mean? So and she was like, you sure? I was like, man, let me get some. She was like, all right. So she gave it to me, started sniffing, and we had sex all night. And this turned into uh like 4 year, almost 5 year run with this girl.
Mm. And you know what's
And
crazy? Like, what's real is like I heard a lot of guys' stories that I never tried cocaine or anything like that. God, I never will. Most high willing. A lot of guys' stories that I heard that got introduced to that, it always started out when they was with a woman, and she would tell them to try this. So many dudes that I talked to that told their stories, it always had that same starting point when it came to cocaine, man. Or or
mhm,
or other drugs too. It started off by they was chilling with a chick and she said, try this. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's deep that you said that, bro.
yeah. So I got caught up with her, and she was attracted to me. She was beautiful. She was funny, and she was a freak. And we just had fun. You know what I mean? I had my Class A CDLs. I was making money. I was driving trucks for this moving company, uh, bringing home lots of money. I had my own place. We was, you know, we were going out all over the place. You know what I mean? Uh, we had moved to Trenton. I bumped into
Mm-hmm.
you. I bumped into you a few times out there in Trenton. Me and you went
Uh,
out and had some fun. And and it was just like a blur. You know what I mean? And then, like I had started getting high so much that I couldn't pass a DOT test. So before I
mm,
lost my CDLs, I just quit work and just went back to being a barber. So that way I couldn't lose my CDLs.
mm,
And I like moved she moved me. She she really took a grip. So she moved me down south with her. You know what I mean? So we moved down south to where her parents was at in South Carolina, and we was out there, and then that's when the drugs really got heavy. Got so heavy
mm,
that I couldn't maintain. We had a nice trailer out there, and I couldn't afford to pay the bills, and we ended up getting, uh, what I mean, we ended up getting what they call it, kicked out basically. But
mm.
they took us to court,
Oh, you talking
and
about evicted?
yeah, we ended up getting evicted. You know what I mean? So I was working at the barbershop. I told my man at the barbershop, and he was like, "Well, I got this little rooming house where you can stay at." And we started staying in this little rooming house. This It was this dude that ran a rooming house, and she was up in there going crazy, and she started sleeping with all the dudes and everything.
Mm,
I still didn't leave this chick, man. I was caught up. The drugs
mm,
had me. So to make a long story short, we ended up going back to New Jersey, and this is how my awareness kicked in. We started going back to New Jersey, and we got back to New Jersey, and I realized that this girl wasn't the one for me, you know what I mean? So I was working at the barbershop, went back to working for one of my friends and working at his barbershop. And then she ended up hooking up with some of her old friends and she ended up leaving me. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, but I didn't realize it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And because I was praying for her to get off my hip. Because I didn't want to be with her no more, but I just said I couldn't stop being with her because she was just so much fun to be around and partying and all that kind of stuff every day, every night. And you know what I mean? But I knew that I was killing myself. Didn't have nowhere to live. Was sleeping on my sister's couch. Was moved with this dude. You know what I mean? That I used to work for. Things ain't turn out right there. Um, and I had told you about it. I told you that I had a problem. Me and you had went to
Mm-hmm.
the bar one day, and I had told you like, "Yo, man, I got a problem sniffing coke." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you, I said, I don't know how to stop. And he was like, "What? You don't know how to stop?" I'm like, "Yo, I don't know how to stop." I said, "Yo, bro." And he was like, let's go over here." So we went over there. We started having some drink. We met up with. That's the day we met up with number 10 and
Mm-hmm.
chilling. And from there, I think I told you that I was gonna move back down south,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't tell you when. I ain't tell, and you never see me again after that because a few months went by after I had seen you that day, and my man had told me, "Yo, just pack everything up and come back down here, man. I got you." So I went back down south. And one day I was doing the same thing down there. I had bought a trailer and everything, and was doing good. And one day, my man was like, "Yo, I met this guy that can help you out. That, you know what I mean? Stop getting high." Because I was getting ready to leave from down south again and come back to New Jersey to get into a drug program. And he was like, "No, I found somebody out here for you." And he was like sitting right in my barber chair.
Mm.
And he asked me, "What's going on, man?" I didn't even know this dude. And he was like, "You good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, man." You know what I mean? And he was like, "All right." So he started talking to me. And he was like, "Well, I heard that you wasn't good. I heard that you had, some problems and stuff that you was trying." And I was like, "Damn." I was like, "Yeah, I do, man." And I didn't know yet. He said, "Well, I'm here to help you, man. I got a program out here." And he said, "It's a Christian-based program, and I want you to come in, see how everything is, and get into this program." So I got it. I left everything, man. Left my trailer, everything. Went and got into the program. He told me I had to get rid of the trailer. So I ended up getting rid of that, getting the money, and just living in the program.
Mm.
Stayed in the program and stayed in the program for like a year, year and a half. And I had a spiritual awakening, man.
Mm.
And that's when I found out that I was an addict and I was addicted to everything that I like doing.
Indeed, me too,
It
bro.
wasn't it. I was addicted to everything that I like doing. You know what I mean? It wasn't alcohol. It was alcohol. It was drugs. It was having fun and partying. It was, what I mean, just addicted to not having responsibilities and and for me that was normal because I didn't know how to live life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Nobody never taught me how to live life. Just like me when I was going to school, my teachers never taught me. They never paid enough attention to me to realize that this kid need help because he can't read. Instead of
Mm.
them making sure that I learned how to read, they just passed me through classes. I was in the ninth, 10th grade and didn't know how to read.
Mm.
And that's how my life was. Everybody was just passing me through. Everybody knew me, and they know that that I used to get money and everything like that, but nobody was telling me what I needed to really do. I didn't have no guidance.
Mm.
I didn't have nobody that was mentoring me. You know what I mean, I had family, but all the family that was around me, they was all addicted to something or doing something, and nobody had time to really break it down to me. So I had to learn on my own, and and luckily for me, I had a good moral compass because I knew certain things I just shouldn't do. You know what I mean? So not to say that my moral compass was all the way good because I did some terrible things, especially when it comes to women. I did some terrible things when it came to my ex. You know what I mean? And I I tried to make amends and apologize to
Mm-hmm.
her. You know what I mean? She didn't accept it, but I still try to make amends because I knew
It's
I hurt
about
her.
cleaning your side of the street.
Yeah, and uh, I started trying to make amends to all the people that I knew that I did wrong. You know what I mean? And on every situation. You know what I mean? It didn't make a difference what it was. And the drug program taught me that, you know what I mean, that it's okay for you to do wrong, but just at least apologize to everybody that you can, that you know that
Mm-hmm.
you did wrong too. You know what I
Step
mean?
8 and 9.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
me, like I said, I gotta make amends to a lot of people then. You know what I mean? So I started apologizing to people, started trying to reach out and get in contact with people. I even had did you wrong. You had loaned me some money and I ain't pay you back. So I was waiting to pay you back. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, I gotta pay. I was searching for you, I couldn't find you. Like, you had got off the internet. I
Yeah,
was
for
looking
three
up
years.
yeah, I was looking, yeah, man, I was looking up basketball spotlight and couldn't find it online. I'm like, yo, I know that's the name of his company. I'm like, man, why? I'm like, yo, what's going on? Yo, I even went back to retro hoops. I said, let me check and see if he on retro hoops again. And couldn't find you on there. And luckily, man, you had jumped back on. And then see, and that's how long I was searching for you. So
Indeed, I remember my wife. I kept telling my wife about maybe about starting from like 2 years ago. Babe, I need Saquan phone number. Is the Most High telling me I need to get in contact with him for some reason. I didn't know why. Man, I
mhm,
need, and because she be talking to your sister. I'm like, yo, I need his phone number. Can you please give me his phone number? And she was like, she won't give me the
mhm,
number. I'm like, why she want? I need to talk to him for some reason. I knew I needed to talk to you for some reason. And the money thing wasn't even on my mind. The Holy Spirit was like, you got to talk to him. You know what I mean? So once I talked to you and I saw and you told me like, and I told you I was a Hebrew, that I was Israelite, and you was like, yo, I'm in the truth too. I couldn't
mhm.
believe it. So now we can get into
That was yeah,
how your life is now from that point. You get what
man,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And that was the most beautifulest thing, man, when I found out that you was a Hebrew, because I'm like, now this was my boy, and we was doing it. Now I got somebody I could talk to, what I mean, about the
Mm-hmm.
truth, and
Uh-huh.
somebody who could set me straight, what I mean, or I could
Mm-hmm.
set him straight when what I mean, when we need to be admonished and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a blessing, man, that I came that we got back. It was nothing but God that put us back into each other's path, man.
So now you into your sober life. How long did it take you to be comfortable being sober?
Man, it took me a while because uh, I was sober for about uh, 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and then I moved from South Carolina to Georgia, and from Georgia to here.
Mm-hmm.
All of this, I moved to Georgia searching for love, wasn't the right person. Moved out here because she was crazy, and I couldn't. Well, I ain't gonna say she was crazy. She just had different ways. She's a Southern girl, and I'm from up north, and we just didn't clash. So
Mm,
I ended up moving out here with my cousin, and that- and I moved in with my aunt, and I got, even though I told them that I was studying Hebrew studies, I ended up joining a church, and they practice the Sabbath, and they practice the law too, and they believe, some of we got a lot of similar beliefs. So I
mm-hmm,
joined in with them with their church, but I was hanging with my cousin, and I used to drink with him, and I started
mm,
back drinking with him. So I ended up losing my CDL, caught a DUI.
mm,
I ended up going to counseling, and I went to counseling for like 6 months. And in the first part of my counseling, I had I was drinking a now and then on the weekends. And every time I would come and piss, he would say, "Yo, why you still got alcohol in your system?" I, I was like, "Man, listen, man, I'm a grown man. Why you gotta ask me why I'm drinking? I only was drinking on the." He was like, "But yo, you trying to get your license back, and you in this program so that you can stop drinking. This is what
mm,
this is for." I said, "I could just stop drinking when I want to." And we started getting into it. And every day when I come there, he would just pick my mind to where it's so bad that where I didn't even like him no more.
mm,
But everything he was saying was true.
mm,
He was like, if, if you say you're not an alcoholic or you don't have no drinking problem, he said we're gonna take the alcoholic part away. We're gonna say drinking problem. And I said, okay, we'll stick with drinking problem because I don't like the word alcoholic. So he was like, all right. He said, then the next week when you come in here, being that you don't have no drinking problem, your piss should be clean.
mm,
So I came in, my piss was still dirty. He's like, yo, you don't see you got a problem? So he was like, yo, I'm about to put you. He said, if you don't see you got a problem, we're gonna have to get you further treatment. You're gonna have to see a psych. He said, because something ain't clicking mentally. So I'm like, what? I said, listen, man, I'm gonna stop coming here and just go to NAA. He was like, yo, look at you. You ready to quit already? So I went home that night and started thinking. I called my cousin up and was telling him all kind of foul stuff about old boy, like, yo, old boy, a bitch, and he is coward, and I don't mess with him like that. And the whole time I'm mad at myself.
mm. It's deep, bro.
I'm mad at myself, and all the thing he doing is pointing out the fact that I'm lying.
Wow. I
So,
remember being in rehab, bro, the first time I went when I wasn't ready. And I remember being in group, small group, right? When it's like six of y'all with the counselor. And the
hmm
counselor went around to everybody and he was telling them, he was reading them that day, telling them about themselves. And I was 40 at the time. And he got to me, bro, and he said, and you, every day ain't no party. All you want to do is party every day. And I thought it was funny
hmm
then. But then when I went back the second time and I was serious, I looked back at it and was like, he was right, man. So when you said something earlier, I resonated. I was a 40-year-old teenager, man. All I wanted to
hmm
do was party, bro. And like you said, I love the fact not having to be responsible like that and this and that. I just wanted to party, and I thought that was the life, bro. You know what I mean? So that
hmm
resonated me when you was talking about that, man. So get
yeah.
back to you talking to the guy now.
So, uh, he enlightened me not through his words, but he enlightened me through letting me know my actions, letting me
Mm,
see it in myself. You know what I mean? So in myself, I was like, yo, pointing the finger at him. And I realized that every time I was pointing the finger at him, the fingers was pointing back at me. You know what I
Three
mean?
of them.
Three fingers was pointing back at me. And I was like, yo, I'm pointing the finger and I know I'm not right in my judgment. The spirit of God kept telling me, bro, you mad at him for telling the truth.
Yeah.
So the next week I went in there and my urine was clean.
Oh,
The next
praise.
week after that, my urine was clean. And every week since then, my urine was clean. Now this happened for like 5 or 6 months. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna write you that letter and we're gonna try to help you get your license back.
Oh,
So he
praise.
wrote a letter to motor vehicles, but motor vehicles had another plan for me because well, we want you to go to uh and get a sleep apnea test because you know uh this ain't the first time having a problem with catching DUI and we heard that you fell asleep behind the wheel before. I'm like, yo, I didn't fall asleep behind the wheel with this officer, but they just wanted to do that because they had sent me to the medical advisory board, and the medical advisory board they going to do everything they can to keep you from driving while you're intoxicated or driving with any physical illness.
Mm,
So they found out I had sleep apnea, and and I've been going through the struggle ever since then.
mm.
I got breathalyzers in the car. I got a sleep apnea machine here in the house with me, and it's been over a year. I've been clean, no alcohol, no drugs, no
All
nothing,
praises, brother. All praises.
and and uh, you know everything just been good. You know what I mean? I've been blessed. You know what I mean? The feeling is out of this world just to be sober, to
I
be in
know,
the
ain't
truth.
it?
Yeah, to be in the truth, can laugh, can have fun, anything. You know what I mean? Without doing nothing. You know what I mean? Sometimes me and you be just kicking it on the phone and we just be joking and laughing and having fun.
What's the how do
You
you
know?
handle staying away from people, places, and things?
Well, I'm out here in a whole nother state. You know what I mean? So um, basically, I got married. You know what I mean? My
All
wife,
praise.
she into the church. Uh, I'm into the truth. You know what I mean? I'm a Hebrew Israelite, and sometimes I go to church with her. Sometimes I study here at the house, trying to find a Hebrew church to start going to, and I just try to keep everything on a positive note and knowing that what I mean, the Most High see everything, and what I mean. It's like uh, it's like doing good when no one is looking. You know what I mean,
Character.
that right there is the most important part to me. Doing right when no one is looking because I can go and I can get myself into all kind of stuff and then come home here and lay down with my wife and act like nothing ain't happened. But guess who's seen what happened? The most
Mm,
high. The most high seen it. And I'm
mm,
holding myself accountable for everything that I do wrong now. You know what I mean? Because I believe in repentance. And I believe in the only way that you could truly repent is to stay refrained from whatever you was doing that you know ain't right. That sin.
yeah, brother.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
brother.
and that's how I'm living my life now. You know what I mean? So staying away from people, places and things is easy to me. You know what I mean? And I got friends that that I want to go and see, but when I go and see them, when I touch down with them, it's got to be on my terms. When they want to do something that I know that I can't do, I got to be like, I'm gonna let y'all go shoot there, and I'm gonna go over here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do
But
you
when
how do you carry the message to others, especially people that's close to you. Because I know for me, I came off when I first got sober. I was coming off too strong to people because I'm an extremist. You know how I am, right? So whatever I'm into, I want everybody to be into, and that's something that I got to work on or whatever. So at first, I was coming anybody that I thought I had a problem, I was just going out trying to help them. But it's not up to me to
Change it.
to try to convince somebody that they got a problem. They gotta know it themselves. How do you handle being in the truth and being sober and dealing with people that's not sober and not in the truth in terms of carrying the message to them?
Uh, Me, I'm very argumentative. So that's, and it's not in a bad way, but
Mm-hmm.
it could get there sometimes where it is
Mm-hmm.
bad. And the Bible tells us not to dispute the word. You know what I mean? So I feel like more so that my actions, what I mean, when they see God in me, when they see that I'm holding up the character, what I mean, of the Messiah, and they see that I'm behaving in a mannerism that he would behave in, then I can reach out to people.
It's
You
all
know,
about attraction, not
it's
promotion.
all about
Yeah.
attraction. So
Yeah.
when I see that they attracted to that word, I was dealing with this brother yesterday. Uh, I had told him before to come to the church, and what I mean, that I wanted to talk to him, and he was having problems with uh, smoking bud and hanging out and all that kind of stuff. And his woman was not, he young and she young, but I guess she got a greater understanding that, you know, that they're young, but they need to be getting on with their life and be adding on instead of subtracting. And he was telling me how he was about to lose his lady and how he was depressed. So I was like, why don't you just come to service with me and hang out with me and stop hanging around those guys for a minute? And he came in yesterday and he told me that he was going to call me today, but I haven't
Mhm.
received a call from him. I told him I was going to pick him up and what I mean, and bring him to service and bring him back to wherever he live at. You know what I mean? But he never gave me that call. I'm still waiting, and
Indeed.
yeah,
Indeed, brother.
and that's how I uh choose to deal with people. I got uh my family, what I mean, I got my daughters, what I mean, I got three daughters, but only two of them I'm in contact with. But I got three daughters, and I try to lead by example now, you know what I mean, so that they can see how I'm living, and then hopefully they'll be attracted to the truth. My thing is that when they tell me they believe in God, I'm happy. I don't try to push my faith onto them or my belief
Mm-hmm.
onto them because
Mm-hmm.
I want them, they're like, babe, when you get this truth, it can be a little bit much for the average person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I feel like some people need to go through what I go through in order to find the truth. Maybe they need to get that weaker religion and then open up into the truth because I don't think that everybody can get it by just giving it to them straight out.
Indeed. My
So,
wife had the
yeah.
first she started sending me Darby, and I started listening
Hmm.
to him first. And he a good bridge. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
He a good bridge from Christianity into the truth. Cause
Hmm.
he preached on the Sunday. He still got the Christianity type of style of preaching, not the words he's saying, but standing up there talking to the, you
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
to the
but
congregation and stuff.
yeah, but what he teaching, what he talking about hit you hard. And he was the
Hmm.
first one I saw when he was talking about who we are. You get what I'm saying? And that's
Hmm.
what caught my ear. So it was a good bridge until I came over into the church that I attend now, GOCC. You know what I'm saying? And then once
Hmm.
I heard Elder Ricardshire, it was like, yo, all right, I get it. All right, yeah, this dude right here, yeah, he got something that I want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Hmm.
and one thing I like about what they teach is study to show thyself approved. Like you don't gotta believe what nothing nobody says. You open the book and you study yourself. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? and it's and it's and it's
Then
and it's
let me
and it's
finish. Let me finish that for you. A workman need not be afraid, rightfully dividing the word of truth. So
indeed.
when we study the show ourselves approved, the result of it is that we're working. You know what I'm saying? And then we going to get the answers because we're
Hmm.
working. You know what I
And
mean? By
finally,
not being afraid
yeah,
and growing in the truth.
and finally, what they taught me was for the first time in my life, somebody really showed me spiritually how to be a husband because I had no idea, bro. Like
Mm,
you was talking about, nobody not showing us. We like your old boy Jay-Z said, we didn't have the tools. Nobody gave me
mm-hmm.
the tools to know how to be a husband and how to really lead a household and things of that nature. You get what I'm saying? So that learning that now in this truth is has been life changing. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I got Bible study now. So the last question before we get off, if you were sitting in front of, if you could talk to a person that's out there still suffering right now from addiction, what would you tell them?
Uh, if I got first thing I would tell them, man, is you know, you gotta have faith in something greater than yourself that can help
Mm,
pull you through.
mm,
Because
sweet.
every time you try to do something on your own in your own power and you fail, you put into too much on your shoulders. But then
Mm,
when you give it to God or what people call the higher power, whatever, when you give it to Him, and even when you fail, He'll pick you back up and put you back on your feet, and you got another chance to start over again. But when you fall on your own and you know that you thought that you could do it on your own, you stay waddling in the dirt because
mm.
you
Talk
feel
it,
like
brother.
ah, man, I did it again, and you stay down there for a longer time than what's necessary. You know what I mean?
Mm.
When you could get back up and you could just dust yourself off and go back to trying to do the right thing. Because nobody's perfect here on this earth, and you need God to make it through. So,
All praises, brother. So
mhm.
so Alvarez, my boy Saquan, I want to thank you for coming on, bro. And I'm gonna send you the you already got the Bible study link. So once we get off, I'm about to jump straight on there and catch up with them. But I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your experience, strength, and hope, brother. I'm gonna clip I'm gonna have the highlights in about 45 minutes, and I'm gonna start posting them joints and tagging you. You probably gonna get tired of me because you're gonna have a lot I could tell about how long we've been on here, man. And me and my wife gonna come down there so we can hit that DMV GOCC church with you, take you
All
over there,
right,
and introduce you to the brother, man. Thanks for
that's what's up.
coming on, bro. I love you, man. Take care of
I
yourself,
love you
man.
too, man. Shabbat shalom, my brother. Love you
Shabbat
too, brother.
shalom, brother. All right. Shabbat shalom to everybody out there. It's the Sabbath now. It's been another edition of Soberheads, one day at a time. And my boy told his story. That was the first time I heard his story, and I knew him for years, man. So all praises. I hope you guys enjoy your Sabbath. Stay tuned next week as I got 3 new guests coming on next week. Tough Talk Tuesday, In the Spotlight podcast on Wednesday, and then Soberheads on Thursday. All praises to you guys. I mean, to the Most High, and enjoy your night. Shalom.